Hey, American contractors, viewers of the American Contractor Show. I'm here with John Dye at Win the Storm, and I have to tell you, anyone that is associated with American Contractor Show, you are a badass.
Big shout out to American Contractor Show. If you don't know, you definitely need to check out the Storm Summit. They're doing it in excellence. Check them out.
Hey, what's up? This is your friend, Francisco Serrano. If you haven't checked it out, American Contractor Show, YouTube channel, Facebook channel, Twitter, Instagram, all the platforms, you need to go them, like them, start learning about your craft.
Hey, I'm Matt Danskin with Restoration Referral System. Check out the American Contractor Show. The truck that they've got is awesome. Everything else that they have going on.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
What's up, everybody? Lead meteorologist John Choquette here for our daily hail forecast on this Wednesday, and we actually have severe weather in our neck of the woods here in Oklahoma and in Texas as well. Got a lot to talk about. We're even going to be going over the number 3 biggest event of 2021, and it'll actually kind of play in a little bit to what we are expecting across the risk area for tonight, which is going to be very, very late night tonight. There's not going to be any storms during the day today. However, there will be a chance for hail, wind, and even maybe some tornadoes along the I-35 corridor just west of there starting late tonight after about midnight, going through the morning and into tomorrow, where we may actually have a tornado outbreak on our hands here across the deep south into the southeast, even up into the Ohio River Valley a little bit for your Thursday. So it'll be pretty busy here at the Hail Palace and for severe weather in general going into this third week of February, and we'll even kind of give a sneak peek of what could possibly be coming up here for the next week or so, as we might be getting a little bit busier a little earlier than usual this year. Got any comments or questions or concerns, of course, put it in the chat below. I think the chat's turned on. If the chat isn't turned on, Andrea can turn it on. It's a button there on the Stream Deck. It should be green. If it isn't, then there you go. As always, thanks to our sponsors, Merlin Law Group and American Contractor Show, as always. See them at the beginning there. Oh, there's the comments. And then we also have C3 Group, which you'll see here in a little bit as well. Upcoming events, before we get into any of that, Highway to Hail. So what are we expecting for 2022? Storm season's trying to get going here pretty quick, so there's a non-zero chance that by the time all these events actually happen, we'll be kind of rocking and rolling here. But if you want to kind of come and find out exactly what we are expecting for the season as a whole, and not just an early start here, we got Dallas next, not next week. Is it next week? Yeah, it's already next week. Oh, God, it's next week. Here, Highway to Hail, February 22nd. Denver's the 24th. So next week, if you're in Dallas or Denver, these are all free events. You can sign up in the link that is in the link tree below. Denver's the 24th. Chicago is going to be after that, right at the start of March here. March 4th in Nashville, and we're going to end it off in Orlando. We're actually going to have a bit of a hurricane forecast as well, because when you're in Florida, right? So come check us out at those events. Derek will be presenting the 2022 hail forecast. And once these are all done, yes, if you weren't able to come to any events, we will be doing a live video of what we had been presenting since January. So come check, make sure you don't miss that here, probably in the second week of March, whenever, right after the Orlando event. So before we get into anything else, and for some reason, okay, we're just gonna skip this because for some reason it didn't save it. So never mind, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. I had the graphic ready, but the number 3 event, which is actually going to be the biggest hail event of the year, but for some reason it didn't save on here. So we're going to go into current conditions. We're going to jump right into that forecast. So what's going on right now, zooming into the main risk area. This isn't actually reaching the ground. I don't know why the radar is showing some activity here in Oklahoma City. There is no rain, it's just cloudy. It's cloudy down in Dallas as well, but it's also very warm and very humid, and that's setting the stage for severe weather later on this afternoon. You can see here current temperatures. What is triggering all this severe weather? Well, it's pretty clear to see. We have the greens and the yellows indicating the 60s and the 70s and a very humid air, especially for mid-February, and a very stark contrast pretty much bisecting the state of Kansas. That is a cold front easing to the south here. And with that, we're going to see a lot of activity happen because we have a big-time storm system that's going to move across the southeast, and that is going to trigger a lot of severe weather starting tonight and continuing all the way through tomorrow. But hey, for the meantime, enjoy the fact that it's almost 70 degrees here at lunchtime in Dallas. Same here for Oklahoma City, 66 in Kansas City, but behind that, it's going to be very cold, and we're actually going to likely see some snow in the general Oklahoma area. I think Oklahoma City are going to kind of see some flakes in the air, but I don't think we'll see too much accumulating snow. But far northern Oklahoma, you could have severe weather that turns into a blizzard for tomorrow. It's February, all right? So here we are. Current dew points is in the 50s, which for May, not a big deal. It's actually kind of suck, but in February, this is more than enough to get severe weather to happen across the southern plains and into Texas and Oklahoma. So 50s and even near 60 in Houston. That's going to continue streaming to the north during the day today. We won't have any storms trigger today, and we'll be primed for severe weather tonight after about midnight. So we're going to look ahead at the significant hail model, kind of see what we are the models are anticipating for hail, and we're going all the way to midnight here, and look at all the yellows showing up indicating the potential for that severe hail all along the I-44 corridor from about Tulsa down through Lawton, especially just south of I-40 in Oklahoma, places like Norman back towards Lawton and even down towards Wichita Falls. It looks like the best chance of seeing some bigger hail if storms form, when storms form this evening and into the overnight, and even down into Texas. And then as we push forward a bit here, you can see that all shifts to the east by about 2 o'clock in the morning, not in the afternoon, in the morning. We could see those big storms making some hail. Nothing crazy. I don't think we're seeing baseballs or anything tonight, but we will definitely see some hail. And with it being, again, the February 16th, I'm not really complaining too much. I'm sure you guys aren't too much either. The fact that you might get some severe weather right after some nice weather, where you guys are able to go put some roofs on, especially in the Dallas area. So let's jump ahead to that future radar. So we saw what the hail model is showing, all the factors in place. You know, we have that instability, we have that moist air, we have the warmth, the unseasonable warmth. All of that put together could have hail, but we need storms to have it happen. So let's look at the future radar. We got to jump way ahead here, so I'm going to speed through the rest of this afternoon and into this evening until about 11 o'clock, where we are indicating that there's going to be some storms forming out in the Texas Panhandle and southwestern Oklahoma, and also some showers here into Arkansas and Missouri. Some of this might be a little bit overdone, but let's really focus in here near the Oklahoma-Texas border. We fast forward here to about 2 o'clock in the morning, and suddenly the radar has lit up here. You can see where the cold front is going to be at. There's going to be storms right along the I-40, just north of I-44, where we could see even up by Joplin, possibly some hail with this. The big question for anything along here could be if a cold front's rushing south, it might undercut the storms a little bit and not really promote that hail production that we could see in other areas, but there could be some hail here, especially with initial storms. The main focus over here in western Oklahoma, near central Oklahoma and down into North Texas, we could see bigger storms with hail potentially up to golf ball size in more isolated cases. Any storms that can remain kind of on their own, that's your best chance for seeing some bigger hail, and there'll definitely be a lot of wind with this. Again, it's a very dynamic system. It's usually pretty common in the plains here in winter time, where you could see hail and then very strong winds even after the storms are over, winds upwards of 50, 60 miles an hour, just with no rain even falling. So we'll be watching this about 2 o'clock in the morning, and I have it zoomed in here, stopping about 4 a.m. And we have everywhere along the I-44 corridor being impacted. The models this morning have backed off on Dallas a little bit. It looks like there could be a couple storms here. Now, in terms of what I'm thinking, chances are, if there is a storm, it would be the tail end Charlie, which is the southernmost storm. You get the most highest chance of it being isolated, not just a line of storms. So if something does happen, I call it a high risk, high reward situation here for Dallas. If you get that tail end Charlie that can really root onto the surface and get a good amount of inflow of warm, unstable air, you could see that bigger hail. But right now I'm thinking more in line of the storms might be a little anemic. It might keep the hail sizes a little bit lower, but places, again, like south of I-40, I want to say in Oklahoma City, you have a decent chance, especially some of the more recent runs that aren't shown on have on this video here, especially down by Lawton and up towards Norman. It looks like a pretty nasty storm might be riding what we call the triple point, where the warm front, cold front, and dry line all meet together, where it could have some intense storms in the late overnight hours here. And we jump ahead to about 7 o'clock in the morning, and then everything is east of Dallas and Oklahoma City, and we have a lot of activity going into Thursday, but we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. So what's that forecast max hail size on Wednesday? I guess technically for Wednesday, 0, but for our general forecast timeline, so after midnight, likely up to golf ball size hail in a couple instances. I think more in line of seeing upwards of that $quarter to $half size hail in bigger areas. So city forecast here, we're gonna start with Oklahoma City. Storm timeline, when is Oklahoma City likely gonna see any activity? You guys will see storms for sure between about 2 and 5 o'clock in the morning. So you're gonna go to bed and you're most likely gonna wake up to some gusty winds, heavy rain, possibly some hail. I think Oklahoma City, your max hail size up to ping pong ball size hail, so 1.5 inch. And again, I think the highest likelihood of that would be south of Interstate 40. So more Norman, unfortunately. I know you guys have had a ton of storms the last year or so. You don't wanna see any more. That's your best bet of seeing up to that ping pong ball size hail. Overall, generally low chance. My biggest concern overall is what you saw on the radar. A lot of storms forming. There could be a hard time to have more isolated activity to have that bigger hail potential, but overall, I think there will likely be some hail in and around the metro today or overnight tonight. And I think the golf ball size hail chances are pretty much near 0, which means, of course, we'll probably see baseballs or something tonight, because that's usually how my forecasts tend to go. So, you know, if I'm forecasting something big, that usually means it doesn't happen. And if I'm kind of minimizing a little bit, then you guys probably get excited. So that's what we're looking at for Oklahoma City. For Dallas-Fort Worth, I think a little bit later on, 4 to 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm staying pretty conservative with this, just based off of what I've been seeing so far this morning. I'm seeing up to $half size hail in the Metroplex. So that's from Denton all the way down to Waxahachie. We have low chances of hail. Again, this could change. We'll have an update about 5 o'clock this evening with our latest thoughts of what we see from the afternoon model runs, but it really looks like we're gonna be likely seeing a lower chance of that hail. You guys will definitely see gusty winds. You'll definitely see some cold air come in on your day Thursday. But in terms of that hail that could be bigger than $half size, I'm seeing a very low chance of that right now. If it does change and it looks like we see a tail end Charlie, we see a lone supercell that has bigger hail than that, it's entirely possible, but I'm not going to be putting that in the forecast at the moment from what we're seeing so far. So what does that hail forecast look like for everywhere else outside of Dallas and Oklahoma City? Well, it looks something like this. So overall, we have a chance of that hail. $quarter to $half size is going to be your primary hail size projection, but we have an area here highlighted in orange where you can see up to that golf ball size hail. And as always, thanks to C3 Group for sponsoring this hail forecast. And we zoom in a little bit closer here for city-specific areas. Lawton's probably my pick city for seeing that hail. You could see up to some golf ball size hail after midnight tonight, and you're pretty much dead center of the risk for that golf ball size hail. Oklahoma City, you can kind of see here, I haven't zoomed in just enough. I tried my best to pretty much ride along I-40 for that cutoff from the ping pong ball to golf ball size hail, and a larger and smaller to the north. So here in Edmond, where we're located, I think chances are we're not going to see really big hail. But again, places maybe Southside Oklahoma City, more Norman, could see the potential a little higher there for up to that golf ball size hail. And then Tulsa as well. I think you guys very likely only up to quarter size hail. I think this applies all the way up to Joplin as well, where Storms will form. You will see storms, but it's not going to be the same level of intensity as further off to the west. I think as the cold front pushes to the south, the storms may get undercut and really cap off that hail size at about quarter size hail. Shifting to the south here, including Dallas-Fort Worth, again, that low chance. I have that orange, so the up to golf ball size hail just to the north, barely north of Denton. We'll have an update again at 5. If it looks like things might be trending upwards for the Dallas area, we may shift this down, may up the risk. But right now, I think it's a high risk, high reward situation where if you get that one storm to manage to meander in and have some real strength to it, then yeah, you could see some bigger hail. But right now, I'm keeping those chances a little bit lower, tempering those expectations. So, wind forecast for tonight, again, is going to be windy, folks. It's already windy across a lot of Oklahoma and into Texas, and that's going to be the trend with the storms. I think that'll be where their strongest winds will be, upwards of 65 miles an hour, and it'll be windy afterwards, too. It'll be windy all day on Thursday. Overall, low chances for tornadoes for the most part in Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Moderate chance possibly for Lawton. Again, if you get hit with the, chances are if you're going to get up to that golf ball size hail in the Lawton area, that means the storm's isolated, has a better chance of causing a tornado. So the tornado chance is likely going to be right along that Red River region, possibly near Wichita Falls as well, and down south to maybe about like Sanger or so. So I think that's what we're looking at here for that potential for the tornado activity. I think the wind activity overall, this is going to almost a lock that we're going to see some pretty strong winds across a lot of Oklahoma and Texas, and that's going to be the trend for tomorrow as well. So looking at tomorrow here on the future radar, we're going to let's see, did I actually get this? Oh, nope, I didn't get the future radar loaded up. That's unfortunate. So we're going to have to just go ahead and we're going to give you the visuals of the forecast. Here for your hail forecast on your Thursday. Basically, what I was going to show you guys was, the fact that we're going to see a lot of storms form in the morning hours, basically continuing on from what we saw tonight. And it will go all the way across Arkansas and into the southeast, places like Tennessee and Mississippi and Alabama all could see hail with anything that can stay isolated. I think the biggest thing that's going to hold hail sizes down to just $quarter to $half size potential is going to be the fact that it's likely going to be a squall line racing across the southeast here. So it looks like I'm keeping the hail chances overall a little bit lower here. Moderate chance for quarter size hail in Fayetteville and Little Rock, and overall I think once we get past Arkansas, there's going to be a better chance it's going to be a wind and tornado event and not so much a hail event. So low chances Nashville, Memphis, Jackson, Shreveport, Birmingham, even up possibly towards Louisville if we can get enough instability that far north. But I think Kentucky somewhere, that's going to likely be where the cold front's going to be hanging out. So that's what we're looking at for the hail. And then for the wind and tornado risk, I think Thursday is going to be a much more significant day for that tornado potential, especially in the areas I have highlighted here. Oh, I didn't put pauses in, dang it. So up to the north, I think the tornado potential is going to be pretty low. Thankfully, this thing paused where I wanted it to for the tornado potential. Everywhere where you see the yellow icons, that is going to be where your elevated tornado potential is. You could see some strong tornadoes, especially if you get any kind of supercells at all. They may be very low topped. They may very well have almost no hail with them, but they could have some pretty intense tornadoes. You guys know the drill if you're in the southeast, how these tornado outbreaks, especially early in the year, go. They move fast and they could have strong tornadoes with them. So from Memphis to Nashville to Jackson to Birmingham, that's where you got to keep an eye out for your day tomorrow, where we could see some intense tornadoes, gusty winds, and this will be ripping across during the day tomorrow. It could be an all-day event. So we'll be here, we'll be doing any kind of live coverage if need be, and of course be updating the forecast for you as things progress on your Thursday. So looking ahead beyond this week, there is going to be another system. This isn't going to be a one and done situation where we're going to see something and then after this you're not going to hear from us again until mid-March. No, it looks like once we get past this storm system, you saw there on Friday, by Friday everything will be pushing off the coast. So you have a big trough here. This is the cold air. And notice how you have the nice warm air down here in the southeast. We push forward a little bit, we get to this weekend, and you notice this is going to be our next severe weather event. The big trough, the big dip in the cold air, kind of displacing everything. That is what is going to trigger the moisture return that we need to have abnormally warm and unstable conditions across the southeast and the southern plains, and this will push forward at the start of our work week, and this is a pretty classic setup even for May to have severe weather. Now if it was May, this would be a gigantic outbreak all the way up to Minnesota, but since it's February going into next week, this is going to be the potential for our next severe weather event. I don't want to highlight any areas in particular yet because this is a week out, but has been very consistently showing we're going to have something in the Four Corners region. We're going to have a lot of moisture return from the Gulf of Mexico. So you have unstable conditions from about Oklahoma all the way east to the East Coast. We could see another possibly significant severe weather event about this time next week. So make sure you don't miss out on that. We'll be updating you guys as we push along here. So follow us on all our social media platforms. We'll just do the number 3 severe weather event tomorrow, unfortunately. I haven't done the video too much recently, so I missed out on a couple things there. We'll have a lot of our posts of individual graphics of what we showed here in the video on our Twitter and on our Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Follow us at HailTrace. Don't want to miss any of our updates. YouTube as well if you don't like watching us on Facebook, and we do have a TikTok. We haven't updated it in a while. And of course, give us a call, 855-334-4245. Storm season looks like it's getting here a little faster than what you might be used to, so you don't want to miss out, especially if you haven't renewed your subscription or you're new to us here. You don't want to miss out on anything that might surprise us and happen sooner than you expect. We're here to help. We will happily get you going for storm season. You can email us as well at info@hailtrace.com, or visit the website hailtrace.com. You can message us directly on there as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. Chances are we're not going to do live coverage. I would try my best at 2 in the morning, but it might be a little difficult. Unless we have something really crazy and it wakes me up at my house, chances are we'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m., maybe a little bit earlier for the update for your Thursday. And tune in later this evening, which I just remembered, that we'll do something right around 5 o'clock, a quick update for what we're expecting this evening. Thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you later.